We seem to see the troops now starting to move forward. The American Cub aircraft now is over spotting for the American artillery, and they would be calling down fire on them. This is one huge advantage that the Americans had during this period now, was that they had a lot of spotting aircraft. In fact, the Allies generally had all these spotting aircraft and huge amounts of artillery. And of course, anything German that went out on the road was also hit by fighter bombers, and they had to do all their travelling at night because the Allies had command of the skies at that period. Now, what I'm going to hand you over, because I'm not actually sure of the complete battle plan, but I know a man who does.
Thank you for that, Jim. A great description of the vehicles there. What you can see now is the half-track is moving out to scout a position for the Stug to take up. The Stug is a good ambush vehicle. It's low profile and its lack of traverse, so it makes a good ambush vehicle. You hear the infantry trying to deal with the spotter, Piper Cub up above. This is very unnerving for the German commander, as he's deploying his troops at the moment, and he can rest assured that that Piper is sending back information. Yeah. You can see the infantry moving out now that they think the Piper hasn't got a view on them. You see, the Americans have moved out to engage the half-track forward on this flank. They're moving out to deploy. They're taking a shot at the Stug. I think they've disabled it in some way. American infantry are pushing in. They've obviously been moving forward with direct orders from the Stug. They've obviously got to suppress this infantry. You can see them bailing out of the half-track. They're moving back to get good cover. What's this called? What's this truck called?
That one's the Steiner.
I think we can see the Steiner vehicle moving forward with a rescue crew. They're going up to see if they can salvage any of these vehicles that have been damaged. The American commander's pushing his infantry out to cover his tank's advance. The German commander replying by reinforcing his front line here. You can see his troops moving forward with urgency. The mortar crew setting up to the rear here. They're moving into the centre position to get a centre ground. They don't know the size of force they've got. I think now the scout group is beginning to try and flank the American position, so the M24 should be turning to engage those.
That was a Tiger.
You can see you start seeing the armoured cars are moving on his flank. He's moving to engage them. Hopefully that stopped that advance. He's backstopping the infantry as the ground commander is pushing his infantry hard forward onto the German line. He wants to get in among them before they can settle. He's deploying his light tank to intercept this armoured car patrol that's obviously trying to break back to their lines. You see the American commander's beginning to realise he's taken on a bit more than he can deal with here. He's starting to pull his troops back. The German commander is sending armour into a flanking position to see if he can push back this American attack. He's beginning to suspect it's not as heavy as he first thought. The American commander responding by adjusting his line and moving back into the area he departed from.
So now that spotter aircraft that's been overhead is obviously going to make a difference to this. They're going to be able to call in a lot more artillery. But you see the variety of the weapons that the Germans are using here. They've got submachine guns, rifles, pistols, mortars, heavy machine guns, tanks, armoured cars, etc. This is all the makings of a normal Panzer division. All these boys here that are here today, both Americans and the Germans there, the reenactors, got a lot of trouble to put their uniforms, their weapons, their equipment together, and as historically together as much as possible. Blank firing weapons, etc. A lot of effort gone into here. So now the Americans appear to be debussing from their half-track, and the half-track's going round, it's disgorged its troops and is going out, which is exactly what they were designed to do. Give the troops armoured protection to take them into the battle, take them out and then scoot. The American Chaffee looks like he's backing off again. There's a light tank and he's got, there's too much heavy armour here, really. The size of the guns on the Stug and the Tiger would make an absolute mess of that with a direct hit. The Tiger with its 88mm gun could fire that shell absolutely flat for a mile. It wouldn't drop 1 single centimetre for a mile, and it would knock out any Allied tank, including Russian, at that sort of range. Okay, now the artillery is coming down, which the Cub has called in, which is going to make a lot of difference now. This is what the Allies were so good at in the Normandy campaign, was bringing artillery down in huge amounts, in enormous amounts of artillery. And of course the Germans had such a long way to bring their artillery ammunition up all the way from Germany that they were rapidly running out of all the essentials to counter this sort of thing. Okay, now the half-track there has been hit on this side of the arena, so the troops are all coming out of that, and that's the end of that.
Okay, as Jim's pointed out, that's the artillery barrage that the spotter plane is called in. The German commander realises there's bound to be something else coming after that. And already we can see American reinforcements starting to pour into the top end of the arena. But they're going to need something heavier than a few half-tracks. They'll be deploying their infantry to form a screen in front of hopefully some armour. They need something with a bit more punch to move this battle forward. The Chaffee's done the best it can, but it's a light tank, it's seriously outgunned here, it doesn't want to get into close quarters with any of this. The American commander should have called for help, and here it comes in the form of a Sherman moving in the background. This looks like the upgunned version, so it'll be able to hold its own out here as long as it doesn't get into direct conflict with the Tiger. They're pushing their infantry into the centre of the battlefield. They're coming in from the flanks, from the tree line, so they're making a strong battle group to push forward. Because these Germans are already dug in and they've got pre-prepared positions, so they know the battlefield. The American infantry are using their vehicles as cover to get forward, but the half-track are quite a light armoured vehicle, so it wouldn't be a lot of good in this situation. They'll try and get in and use their 50 calibers to cover their infantry deployment. You see this is already having an effect on the Germans pulling back on this flank. You can see the German commander trying to tighten up his battle lines. He realises the American commander's trying to push round his flanks. He's trying to deploy his troops in ambush position to prevent this happening. But this is quite a strong, aggressive American force. They're pushing forward hard. The German NCOs are beginning to realise their flank has been turned. They're trying to regroup their infantry, pull them back and get them into a safer position. As the American infantry, the Rangers are pushing round on their flank here. They're already breaking through. The little Mark III is no match for the chassis. That's been knocked out over on the right flank. You see the medical unit deploying here. I'll hand you over to Jim and he'll describe their activities.
Right, so these guys are the sanitators coming in to take a wounded man out under the cover of the Red Cross, which was pretty much observed by most sides. Hello, the Americans have done it. They've managed to knock out the Stug. The Stug just took a hit on this side of the arena, and that's the end of that. So now the Germans are regrouping, taking their wounded away from the field. A few more infantry coming forward to reinforce them. You'll notice the variety of the uniforms there. This is correct for that time of the war. There were so many different types of German uniform, but in the Normandy period you saw 4 different types of camouflage uniform. Oh yeah, they've hit the Tiger. That, I would say, is probably the end of it. That's probably game, set and match now. Their 2 main bits of armour have been taken out. Right, the Stug is definitely in trouble, and now you've got the 50 caliber machine guns opening up on the American half tracks there. Very large caliber, 12.7 millimeter or 50 caliber, which is ½ inch. Very, very large round. Only 1 round of those, and you don't come back for more. More wounded now, more and more of these Germans going down now. Americans starting to take cover behind the knocked out armour. Now the Germans are coming up with this little Steyr field car to try and relieve the guys who are in trouble there. Bit of hand-to-hand fighting going down behind the Stug there, but definitely being pushed back. There's the sanitator, the first aid guy running in under cover of his Red Cross flag, which hopefully means that nobody will fire on him. There comes the Kugel to collect another wounded man. And we're starting to see the beginning of the surrender. There's guys here putting their hands up. Sheer weight of fire and the fact that they've got that overwhelming artillery that they could call in. Yeah, it looks like the Tiger's well on fire now. You heard that very rapid firing machine gun there. Germans were great believers in putting a huge amount of fire down, very rapid firing weapons, but of course they all need a great deal more ammunition. Or everything that the Americans could bring to the battlefield by this time was semi-automatic, whereas the German standard rifle was still bolt action and only 5 rounds before you had to reload, whereas the Americans with their semi-automatic Garand rifle, 8 rounds as quick as you can pull the trigger. Lots of submachine guns, Thompsons, pistols, everything was semi-automatic or fully automatic. Okay, now the Americans are really taking the day now. They're starting to round up prisoners, and the Germans are definitely on the losing side now. Bit of hand-to-hand combat here again. Right, there's some more Americans coming in on the far side of the arena there. Mixture of parachute troops and infantry, as it would have been at the time. The American semi-automatic rifle had one disadvantage in that when the 8th round was fired, it made a definite ping because it ejected the clip from the top, and it was a very, very distinct sound. and the Germans got the hang of realising that when they heard that ping, the guy was going to have to reload, and that was when they would either need to make their move and either get the hell out of there or open up on him. So now the Americans back by the Chaffee light tank there. Very, very fast vehicle. That can do about 50, 55 miles an hour, that little light tank there. Very effective, but not particularly thick armour. You'll notice that the Germans sometimes are using a submachine gun with a round magazine, a bit like a Thompson. These are in fact captured Russian weapons called a PPSH or a Pepesha, and the Germans captured them and used them a lot. They were very popular with German troops. They took 71 rounds in a magazine, which gave them an enormous amount of firepower, very cheap, and they captured tens of thousands of them in the Russian campaign. Now the Americans are moving forward for their final advance. Again, all that automatic weaponry gave them a huge advantage over the Germans, who got automatic submachine guns and light machine guns, but not rifles. Okay, I think the game's up now. There's a few diehards there. That's it. My goodness me, there is the Lancaster. Now they're in deep trouble. Now they're in deep trouble. If the Lanc was to come over and dump the load, there you are, boys and girls. Something we weren't expecting. An added bonus to the end of the battle there. From the Battle of Britain Memorial flight, obviously on its way home from something, and agreed to do a fly past. What a wonderful thing to see. A real privilege to see that aircraft over it today.
Okay, as the American commander's moving forward now, he's securing the area. It should be pretty much the remainder of the Germans are surrendering, and with that, the Americans are deemed to have taken the battlefield.